Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I'm going to be recording a video all about everything I read in October of this year, 2024. And I know it's November. I know it's nearly mid-November. Oopsies, my bad. But I think a lot of more serious stuff has gotten in the way of that. So I'm here now, and I'll be sharing with you my thoughts on everything I read in October. So if you're interested in that, just keep on watching. Okay, I just want to say a quick thank you if you're still around. My last little bonus video I posted where it's just like me ranting about books being political and the current state of politics. I lost some subscribers after I posted that video. So hi, if you're still here, I appreciate you, and I hope you continue to enjoy my content. I'm gonna probably do like this is gonna be more of a chill video, and I might do another chill video after this, but um I know my more serious topics perform better, but we'll see. We'll see what I do. I don't know. Anyways, so the first two books I read, I don't physically have with me anymore because I got them from the Chicago Public Library because public libraries are super important to society. So I don't have them with me any longer, but I will put pictures of their covers on screen somewhere. So the first one I read, okay, so these two books are both about physics and they're from the same author. You know, if you know me, you know I occasionally like to read nonfiction, but right now I've been on a big physics kick. Part of it is because I'm writing a book that leans more sci-fi in some areas, and it tackles certain themes that I want to make sure that I have a complete full understanding of in order to take creative licenses with you know, what's in it. So in that book, I'm really dealing with the idea of time and life and memory and like existing in a definite amount of time, right? So for me, I wanted to learn more about time from a fundamental quantum level. And so I read The Order of Time by Carlo Rovelli. I really enjoyed this book. I learned so much from it. I think it's very beginner friendly. If you're like me, you didn't really take any physics classes before, this is something that uses language that's really easy to understand. And I learned so much that like really changed my perspective of time. Instead of it being this like all embodying force, the way I learned about it is that there are quantities of time, like it's quantifiable, and time moves differently based off of location, distance. Sure, like we know about like light years, and if you watch sci-fi, I think what was it, the one with Matthew McConaughey, Interstellar, it really explains the concept of like if you exist on, if you go to like a planet super far away, you're going to experience time differently than over here. Like time will, if you're gone for like 2 years over there, it might be 20 years over here type thing. So I was familiar with that already. But even on a smaller scale, like I learned that like people who tend to live high atop mountains experience time physically differently than people who live in like a valley. Like they literally have a similar shift, just like that movie Interstellar where they're two different places. But also the way he described time was it more being like with heat going from hot to cold, right? So instead of, like I said, being a force, it's like heat is the movement of particles going like this, and then eventually they slow down, and that's when stuff cools down, right? And it moves from one place to another. So time kind of operates in a similar way, where where you have this movement, a concentrated movement of particles, right? And then eventually it cools down in the same way. I'm probably butchering this explanation. You should read it in the book. It made a lot more sense. And again, it had diagrams and it talked about basic physics concepts and then built time upon that. So yeah, I was talking about the quantum mechanics of time. And so it was super interesting. It's a shorter read. I really recommended it. I finished that one in September, but I moved it to October because I also read his another book of his called Helgoland, Making Sense of the Quantum Revolution. Now, this one was also interesting, but this one was definitely more of like, here's a history of quantum physics. It was more so talking about the different physicists who came up with different theories and who they were inspired by, who they were connected to, and it went from like all the way back from Aristotle and like went through different folks to get to where we are at now and our understanding of the quantum realm. This was also very easy to understand, but again, this felt more like a history book than it did like explain concretely the concept to me. Like it still did, but I felt like it wasn't as forward as The Order of Time. He also has other books that I want to get into because now I'm kind of just interested in the quantum realm in general. And it's interesting because the book I wanted to write was going to be more of this feeling of feeling small and helpless in the grand scheme of the universe, right? But I keep finding myself attracted to tiny things. And maybe the point of this book is actually the inverse, is that the truth is in the tiny microscopic universes and things. It's really interesting because with quantum physics, our traditional rules for physics break down or contradict themselves when we get to the quantum realm, like the atomic level and all the teeny tiny bits. So that's been really interesting for me. I read those two books. I'm going to try to read more and try to. I'm basically teaching myself physics, but not really. I've been writing stuff talking about like even a separate project. I worked in quantum entanglement some way, or was inspired by this idea of quantum entanglement, which is when you have like two particles that can exist super far away from each other, right? But when you change something about that one of the particles, it affects the other one super far away instantaneously. And we don't really have an explanation for that yet. It's this like really weird type thing. And I think a lot of like spiritual woo-woo people kind of attach themselves to like quantum entanglement, and it's this romantic notion that things are inexplicably tied together throughout space and time, which is very romantic. But yeah, I don't know. I was using so I've been incorporating quantum entanglement in other projects, and I don't know. I've just been on a physics kick. I've been listening to Star Talk, which is a podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson on it. He invites a lot of guests on there, and I would say that most of the time, like it's easier to understand sometimes the guests or the physicists talk in a way that like they might use words or like vocab words or like certain concepts that I don't really know about. But the Neil deGrasse Tyson and his co-host, the comedian guy, I can't remember his name, they're pretty good at like stopping the physicists and be like, okay, well, what does this mean? What does this mean for people like me who don't have a background in physics? So that's been really exciting. If you guys are into science and physics and stuff, and you have any recommendations for me, please leave them down below because I am trying to learn about this stuff, and I find it fascinating. I was super into science as a kid. Like I really thought I was going to be a scientist. Actually, I thought I was going to be an astronomer because I had books on nebulas and I had all these planetary books in my room. And I remember one year for Christmas literally asking my parents for a poster of the periodic table of elements, and I had that up in my bedroom forever. I was like a really weird kid because like my bedroom walls were painted purple and red, like kind of like lava lamps. And so I literally lived inside a lava lamp, and I had these really old retro like 70s looking shower curtains to cover up my closet and like beads my basement. But then I also had posters of like the solar system and the periodic table of elements by my bedroom wall. And then like I also had posters of cute boys above my bed. So wow, what range do we have here? That's like the embodiment of being a teenage girl, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I really thought I would pursue a career in that. And in fact, I've always gotten really good grades in chemistry in particular. But I think I don't know. Interest change. I'm interested in everything, and so now I'm trying to reconnect with that part of myself through physics and nonfiction and science. So there's that. There's the nonfiction I read for this month. Now I'm going to get into the fiction books I read this month. I read 3. This is in no particular order in terms of like how I finished this, but they're literally in a stack next to me, and I'm just going to grab them and show them to you. So I finished Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. This is a book that a lot of my friends have read and they've really enjoyed. I've also read Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison. I think I've reviewed it on this channel before. Similar style of cover, black and pink type thing. I remember liking Black Sheep. It just felt a little bit predictable and on the nose. That was my one critique. And unfortunately, that's the critique that I kind of carry here. This story is a werewolf story, if it isn't evident by the cover. But the werewolfness is also supposed to be a metaphor for the main characters like PTSD and her working through some childhood trauma, some sexual based violence when she was young. Um, and I think the handling of that was done really well, honestly. Like, because I've talked about this on this channel. There's some stuff where it covers that issue that can be very triggering for me. I did not find this in particularly triggering at all. I think it was done very delicately. With it was descriptive enough without being graphic, which I can appreciate. And the story isn't so much about the act itself; it's about this woman growing up as an adult later and like trying to form romantic relationships past that, right? So again, this is literally a woman turning into a werewolf. At times it is pretty funny because it's just like a silly thing to be happening, and the way the main character deals with it or like avoids it really is humorous in and of itself. My only thing is that oh, and the plot twist of like who turned her into a werewolf, I didn't see coming, so I did appreciate that. I like being surprised when I read. Um, because I thought it was one person this whole time and it turned out to be somebody else. So that's great. Like I said, the metaphor was a little too on the nose. It was really like spelled out for you, really, that this is what's happening. It's like somebody working out their trauma, and because instead of showing us, I think it fell into a lot of the telling where it literally said, "Oh, I'm working through my childhood trauma right now." And for me, I'm just like I get that some people might need that spelled out for them. I would have liked to unravel that for myself. I think as a reader that would have been more satisfying, but it's okay. Again, it's just a writing style that's not for me in that regard. I think her books, Rachel Harrison's books, are funny, and they deal with definitely like family dynamics, family trauma, and like uh feminist themes very well, and they're funny. And again, it still falls into the realm of horror because there's always like a monster or something involved. But yeah, they're just a little too obvious for me. But this was a good book. I think if you like this kind of thing, you'll probably enjoy it. So, yeah, there's that. So I also finished Clown in a Cornfield, Friendo Lives 2. This is the sequel. I posted pictures, I think, on my Instagram. I don't know if I posted them here, but I actually met the author of this series. He was doing a tour for his new book. So this is a series, and the third one just came out this year. So he was going on tour promoting these books, and I met him and I got all of them. I've been following Adam on social media for a while now, so I was happy to meet him in person and get these. So I finished the second one. The third one is still on my list to do, but this is like I wouldn't say this is an easy read for most people in terms of like if you're not into gore or slashers, this won't be easy for you because if you are squeamish, that kind of stuff, you won't like it. But if you are like me and sometimes you just need to, this is like a turn off your brain read, kind of. I think this, okay, so the first one, Clown in the Cornfield, the first one, I talked about it on this channel, and it was a slasher, but it was like a small town retaliating against emerging new cultures or youth culture coming in. And then I don't want to spoil anything for you about who the bad guys are, but it's a clash of cultures, right? It takes place in a Midwestern town, and you have people who have enjoyed the way this town has existed for a really long time, and then you have these new kids coming in with their cell phones and their social medias, and they perceive this to be a change in culture for the worst. And so certain people in this town decide to take matters into their own hands. That's the first one. Very political, very timely. I think that one was done in like 2016, so there's a lot of references that are a little dated, but like it came with the time. This one is the sequel to that, and although this is more like the ramifications after that. The main character in this is off at college now. She's away from the small town, but inevitably she's drawn back to said small town. There's also queer rep in this. Like the side characters are there's a new trans character introduced. And then the best friends of the main character are in a gay, they're a gay couple. And then there's another there's another man introduced that might be a homewrecker for said gay couple. So lots of drama in this one too. This one was really enjoyable. The first one was enjoyable, but I feel like this one is also equally, if not more, fun. That if you like like this series gives me like Ray Bradbury vibes mixed with, obviously people are gonna say It because of the clown motif. I don't necessarily think it reminds me more of like Scream. So like, or just a silly slasher movie. Like, again, people die, people get hurt, so be prepared for that. But that's the kind of vibes that are going on here. So everyone comes back to the small town. There's certain people seeking revenge for everything that took place in the first book. There's also, it pokes fun, and I think because I know these folks, it's funny for me. It pokes fun at like conspiracy theorists type people, because at some point in time, like, people from all over the country, maybe even all over the world, come to this small town to enact revenge on something that doesn't even affect them. But like, the main character at the beginning like is harassed by people because, like, obviously there's news coverage about this atrocity that happened in the small town. But then some people, the conspiracy theory people, are claiming that it didn't actually happen, and the real victims of the crime were actually the perpetrators of said crime. And so she's targeted and harassed by these weird people that want to be like a quasi militant group based off of misinformation. And I feel like that's very timely right now. I don't know if this was pre January 6th or post, but it gives me that sort of vibe, right? It's these like, I don't want to say every conspiracy theorist is confused. They're not. And like, there's some conspiracy theories that inevitably will have come true. Um like, especially when it comes to like weird people in Hollywood doing weird stuff. But I feel like those were more rumors than conspiracy theories because yeah. Um but it pokes fun at who you think it pokes fun at. I enjoy it. Again, I'm from a Midwestern town. I wouldn't necessarily call it a small town, but I wouldn't call it a big city either. It's a dying industrial town. So for me, I know these folks. I know exactly who they're talking about. I might be related to some of these folks. So it felt cathartic for me to have that in a way that, like, I don't know. It's not really escapism for me, but it just felt a little bit more validating. So I really enjoyed this second book. If you like watching slasher movies, like slasher scary movies, you're gonna like this. This is pretty good. Okay, so now my next book. I just have to warn you, it might be one of my new favorite books. Period. I'm so excited about this. This is very popular. I actually got this recommendation from Reads with Cindy. I love all her book recommendations. Oh my god. But this is, I think, technically YA, but it's so good. If you like gothic-y type stories, um a quasi fairy type stories, if you like vibes, get ready for House of Hollow. Oh my god. I love this book. Oh my god, it's so good. Without giving too much away, the premise of this book is about three sisters, and they all experienced this weird event in childhood where they went missing. They went missing as children, and then they did completely disappeared. There's a search party for them for like weeks or whatever, and then they randomly return, and all of their physical features change. I think they all get like white hair, and they get really dark eyes, and they all start behaving differently after this event. But it doesn't necessarily follow them in childhood. This is more as like the children are now adults, um, and they are starting to experience strange phenomena once more. The eldest sister goes missing for a bit, leaving the two younger ones to try to find her. They all lead very like glamorous but like tumultuous type lives. The eldest sister is, from what I understand, a fashion model slash designer. She has this really ethereal but eerie beauty about her. People are obsessed with her. She puts weird stuff in her clothes and trinkets and stuff. And then the middle sister is more rebellious. She's a bass player in a band, and she left home very young, and is queer and has really kind of taken every moment as it comes. And then the youngest daughter still lives with their mother. Oh, I should include, yes. So when they came back, it actually caused more hardship for the parents. And I won't go into too much detail about that because I feel like that's a big plot point. But anyway, she lives at home with her mother, and she's still actively going to high school and trying to have a normal life. But but she's still ostracized in her community. Girls treat her pretty badly. She's bisexual, I believe. Yeah, bisexual. And so yeah, these girls just call her a witch and stuff. And like truthfully, they call all these girls witches. These girls have kind of powers, kind of. They are very alluring and they can convince people to do things. So based on this description, you would get like, oh, this is fae, this is fairies, this is like stuff like that. And if you know me, I'm a sucker for fairy stuff right now. Like, yeah. but but there's a twist in this. It's not exactly what you would think. I don't want to give too much away because I feel like the world building in this is so much fun, because it does have like, ooh, supermodel, ooh, rock star, like, ooh, cool stuff. But then the other world building surrounding the mystery of what's happened to them is so cool too. It's beautifully done, super immersive. If again, like gothic, decaying beauty, flowers, forests, just not gross, but yes, like I don't know how to describe it to you without giving away the ending, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, if you like witchy stuff, if you, because I think this takes place in the UK, but I think I please correct me if I'm wrong. I could be misremembering, but other parts of it takes place in like Scotland or something, or like they cross the border or something. I don't know, but if you like that kind of stuff, it's a bit of a mystery. It's really eerie. It's like a good spooky read for people who aren't into bloods and guts and gore and stuff. It's just, oh, it's so good. It's so, I've read this and I got super excited. I'm always so happy when I read a book and it makes me feel excited again. This made me feel very, very excited. So this was very good. I think it kind of ended in a way that would hint that there was like a sequel coming, so I hope that's true. But yeah, House of Hollow is amazing, and so much so that I was like, girl, I'm naming my kids, like I'm naming my daughter Gray. I don't care. Like that's so cool. I listen. I just Vivian too. I was gonna say like name. I was like, oh my god, Vivian Gray. That's such a good name. But then I saw this other person on my Facebook that I haven't talked to in decades, and they named their daughter Vivian, and I was like, damn it. So we'll see if that still works, because but Vivian Gray, that's such a good name. That's a strong name. So check back with me in like 10 years or something. If I have a child, then you know what they're going to be called. But anyway, yes, House of Hollow, so good. Okay, so that's everything I read for October. Those were like 5 books in total. I have the biggest freaking TBR. I don't know if I can like pull it to you, but I have books that I started reading months ago and like I've never picked up on again. And then I have books that I just got. Can you see this? Can I wheel it into frame? Not really. Let me pick it up. Hang on. Yes, this is my current TBR pile. So I think you can see some of the spines. You can't see all of them. I really need to just read and not get anything new for a while. Some of these books I've had for months, if not a year, that I haven't worked on, and other ones I've just kind of like picked up and I'm like, ooh, I'll do this one now. I'm such a mood reader and I hop around. It's like not even fun. So if a book can keep my attention and I want to read it in a couple of days, then it's pretty good. But yeah, I have some of these I've been working on forever. I still want to go to the library and get more nonfiction, but yeah, I'm just going to do my best to make way through these. Should I make a deceitful thumbnail and put all these books in there? No, I probably won't do that. But anyway, yeah. So thank you so much for watching. I'll let you know what I read for November. And until then, be sure to like this video, comment down below, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel. Please, please, please. That would help me out a lot. And until next time, thanks. Bye.